What absolutely splendid weather we're having on this fine Thursday morning. Welcome back to Inside the Mind of Blumandarin, where I hope you can squeeze a little bit of our zest in your daily slice of life. Today, I'm gonna discuss punishment. A little bit about punishment. A lot of the reason why people do get punished is for disciplinary and behavioral aspects and purposes. Of course, like for example, if you have like a detention or something, it's usually because you did something consistently or did something that is negative enough to warrant something like a detention. Now there's also other places you could get a punishment. I'm just generalizing it to I'm just using school as an example because it's definitely one of the most, if not the most relatable forms and locations where a punishment can occur. Other places being home, where you could like get punished by any elderly figure or punished by yourself for doing something that isn't quite morally what's that word? Morally sufficient, I guess. So to be punished, physical aspects of punishment, though this includes a slap on the wrist, a belt to your bottom, a little spanking, maybe whipping even, as a result of negative actions. This punishment is usually used as a form of negative reinforcement, showing the negative aspects of your behavioral issues, and doing this physically will definitely leave a mark and make sure the punished people will remember what they do, from the fear of re-experiencing something such as that. But also things like a death sentence or something, a punishment for something so heinous that you have to get killed, right? After that, there's simply not really that much else to talk about the physical aspects of the mainstream, everyday, heard of punishment, other than maybe the compromisation, that's probably not a word, of a bodily function or organ, as well as the lasting effects of this form of negative reinforcement. Next, we will talk about the mental, psychological options and effects of punishments such as this. So, for example, you sit in a room alone, maybe in absolute silence. Sit in a room in absolute silence. Something something maybe not quite as severe uh, as solitary confinement, but still very mentally damaging. This is because like having no interaction with the outside world seems is usually very distancing between you and other parties of interest. And by doing this, you forget how to speak, how to talk to people, how to interact with anything in any way. And because you do have that split between the outside world and yourself, you really don't have a sense of how slow, how fast how time is passing, other than the times you may your uh, receive your meals and such. Wait, why am I talking about? I was not supposed to talk about solitary confinement, but anyways, in this sense, you do lose a lot of your a lot of the connections you built in your regular day-to-day life, and this is really detrimental, as if you do have the same overexposure to the same thing over and over again, it might get too difficult for you to bear, and you might actually have to want to off yourself and things. Really, it's not really a great experience to not talk to people sometimes. So it's really important that you do eventually find someone to talk to when you don't have anyone else or any time or anything. Just unless you don't want that to happen, then that's fine. All good. Just you do you, I guess. But in my opinion, if like you don't talk to people, you might end up how I once was. Like I forgot how to talk normally and stuff. I wasn't a regular person because of because of myself. This because like during snacks and lunch times, I would just choose not be forced to choose to sit alone, because I don't really think I need to. I don't deserve to and stuff. I never really wanted or thought I needed that sort of social interaction. So I just sat there and I forgot how to talk like a normal person. I forgot how to talk about the little things in life. I forgot how to act like a human being and things. So really, socialization is really a big part of your life, with a punishment such as solitary confinement or being grounded, or maybe even like something as little as a detention is definitely psychologically impacting in a negative way. And to talk about short-term effects of corporal punishment, if being just the fear of having that punishment done to you again, like a detention or something, is probably strong enough to traumatize you for the rest of your year at least. And because this happens, then it's really effective, of course, a form of negative reinforcement. But by doing this, you lose your access, you lose a lot of your mental state and other things. Just if actually that's probably only really the case if you're someone like me, of course, who just really just doesn't know how to react or speak things. Really, genuinely, being punished is not the best thing. It's not the best form of it's by definition is by definition negative reinforcement. Just to speak about that for a bit. Okay. Now, now I get to talk about forms of punishment, other forms of punishment. So there might actually be a possible way to punish someone by overstimulating them. So if you just force someone to watch the same things or write the same things down over and over again, you're really drilling some messages into their mind, and by doing so, you make room. You force them to make room for important or maybe non-important messages that they will probably never need. All because that's the form of punishment chosen that you choose to give. By forcing someone to remember something, they lose a bit of their humanity. They lose a bit of their time, and they might lose a memory that I might lose something that they will wish they had in the future, when it all actually matters now. That went dark really quickly, but you get that point. Like, the punishment isn't good. Next is I would like to call this like the confiscation sort of punishment. The overusage of a certain device, substance, or object that will result in the deprivation of that said object on the offender. And this is usually seen like with maybe a laptop taken away or a phone taken away because of misuse, or maybe even something as simple as like your maybe your earrings or something, which might not be allowed to school, of course. And that next, I would like to talk about the something a little bit different from punishment, just to lighten the mood. I would like to talk about the schooling system. So, in the schooling system, tying back a bit to punishment, is a very interesting source of information. Actually, it's probably the best source of information you'll have until you reach adulthood. In school, sometimes it's the best place to learn something. Sometimes it's the worst place to learn something. Like, if you're in a school environment, you really don't want to be learning about something like sexual abuse or something. It's not really the ideal option for what you want to learn in class and things. And that's really a little bit of a problem, in my opinion. Though my opinion is not really something that matters to really anyone. But I guess I'm glad it's being heard. So this is a really short episode of Inside the Mind of Blue Mandarin, but thanks for being here. I'm glad you listened, and of course, once again, unless you're tuning in for the first time today, maybe keep smiling.